Welcome to the Two and a Half Brothers podcast, where we discuss FPL views and strategy, but most importantly, our monthly league. It's the usual plan today: a league update and to announce August's winners, game week 3 reviews, and our plans for game week 4. I know there's an international break at the moment, but we'll give some initial thoughts there. Evening, Jake. How you doing?
Evening, Steve. Yeah, doing good, thank you. Nice to get a decent game week under my belt before the international break kicks off.
Good. We will hopefully be joined by Bob at some point, although that is childcare dependent. Shall we kick off with the review of the August League, please, Jake?
Yeah, let's bring up the league standings for this month.
Okay, so Gatpan absolutely smashed it, as he has done in pretty much every game week. He's currently ranked around 500th in the world, which is remarkable. We did have a tiebreaker decided by the Villa keeper for fifth spot. Gatpan's lead over the pack is enormous at 28 points. It's all pretty tight thereafter. So there were lots of chips active over those first few weeks. So it's hard to read too much into the overall league standings just at the moment. I haven't used a single chip, for example. So there's plenty of bench points around the patch, which might have cost people a league place or two. That seems to be the way of the world at the moment. I think it's probably a good thing that people have playing benches. We've seen quite a lot of injuries and whatnot in the first few weeks. Did you come a cropper to any of those this week, Jake?
Yeah, did feel quite fortunate with two of my starting 11 out and 20 points coming off the bench. We'll take a look at that later, but it does highlight the importance of having a full squad and a good squad and a good bench.
Yeah, sure. Agreed. So please get in touch if you are in those top 5 spots via our email addresses. We'll share them in the comments. Can then arrange your prizes to be sent across. If you'd like to grab my team, Jake, I'll give a quick review before we look at yours. So it's pretty middle of the road for me this week. I guess the highlight is Haaland finally managing to outrun Salah. I feel like that's been hard work the last couple of game weeks. He also got the 3 bonus despite City losing, and those shots on target. I think he had 3 or 4 in the end, despite City not necessarily playing that well. And they've got United next and Burnley after. So keeping hold of him, obviously. Evening, Rob. I'm just running through my team.
How are we? We all right?
Yeah, all good.
Good, good.
João Pedro now is
Evening.
pretty much neutral, given that his ownership is so high. Captaincy on top. I think he was around 100% effective ownership this week. Nothing from Liverpool. I think I'm compelled to keep both of those Verts and Gakpo for the Burnley game. The Verts call is not looking very good at the moment, to be honest. I don't think he's been that involved at the sharp end. But again, with the fixtures coming up, I think I'm compelled to keep him. We had Anderson, just 1 point off the DEFCON points for the third week running. That doesn't annoy me too much, to be honest. I think it just means that FPL have set a really good line for it. Like, it's hard to score a goal, it's hard to get a clean sheet. I don't think you should be expecting your midfielders and defenders to be getting these DEFCONs kind of week in, week out, unless you're Tarkovsky. The main issue I think I have is that double Forest defence has been miserable. There's potential, obviously, to get rid of Murillo and get a premium-ish defender in. I just feel like it's a bit of a sideways transfer. It's just not that exciting. I thought they were fairly poor against West Ham. I was unfortunate enough to watch that one. Probably lastly, the Sarr return for my transfer in. He's flagged now, which is great news. He said he's okay in the post-match interview, so no urgency there to do anything for now. I've got plenty of money in the bank, so I don't feel under pressure to do much. Yeah, probably hand it over to you, Jake, and have a look at your team, unless there are any questions or observations.
I think I'm in a similar boat for you with the Forest defense. You said you're not planning to remove it. Are you just going to keep going with that and hope it turns? Obviously, they've got the good fixtures going forward.
Yeah, I just think it's not a very exciting transfer, to be honest.
Any eye on Munoz?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think if I was
Um,
going to transfer, I'd probably do Strand Larson to Mateta if I was going to go that way.
yeah,
One final comment on my team. I said I had to dodge the highly owned Man United players, and I feel like I just about did that with the Haaland captaincy return.
yeah, Haaland and Pedro returning and going early on Sarr as well. I think it's a great move there.
But yeah, middle of the road for me, so I'll hand over.
Okay, so 63 points all out for me. Again, double Forest defense, slightly disappointing. Was slightly excited to see Aït starting. Ended up with 0 points, so I don't think it makes any difference. Diouf, who came off my bench for Dorgu, that was a monster 10 points. I was surprised to see Dorgu not starting for United. I saw Dallo start in that left wing back position, and then Ahmad at right wing back, who I thought did pretty well. Embuemo, captain, with the 10 points. I thought he could have come away with a lot more that match. Um, at least an extra assist or goal. He was very close. The captaincy was between him and Salah, so I'm glad I got that one right. Quite happy there. Yeah, Forest disappointing in general, so I brought Gibbs White in for the West Ham fixture, and West Ham fair play did really well. Forest weren't that impressive. Dewsbury Hall also off the bench for Strand Larson, 12-pointer from him. Everton looked really good as well. Him and Grealish played pretty well together. And Pedro, who I brought in, returning as well. He was all over the pitch, even got a goal line clearance, I believe, which boosted him up to 3 bonus points. So relatively happy with it overall. Um, Looks slightly average for next week, but we'll look at the game week 4 plans later on.
Yeah, you mentioned your bench, but there's a world where your bench is absolutely stinking with Doof for West Ham, who've been poor at the start of the season, Dorgu, who hasn't started, and Burnley's Estev. So in my
Yeah,
opinion, I don't really consider that a playing bench because you're forced to have Dewsbury Hall in, aren't you, most weeks?
Dewsbury Hall's not bad. I started in the last 2 weeks, just felt quite unfortunate to not get any returns. I think he does have higher XGI than Reinders, so make of that what you will.
I will.
Half a mil
XGI
cheaper as
thinking.
well.
Say again, Bob.
I said XGI. Puh. At least you didn't bench Dewsbury Hall though, which is what we'll discuss in a second.
Cool. Okay, well, nice for you to get off the mark, Jake, with a decent looking score. Cool. Cheers, Jake. So we've had the good, the bad. Should we have a look at the ugly?
Well, that'll be the transition. Yeah, over to me. And I was fairly optimistic going into this game week. I thought, triple Forest, West Ham looked absolutely rotten. I'd made the call, which is a dagger to my heart to get rid of Bowen, obviously, who then went on a netted against Forest. But I got absolutely nothing out of that game. And I'll be honest, they look poor. I know they've signed a ton of players today, but they surprised me with how poor they were at home. So Sal's absolutely nothing. Williams absolutely nothing. Gibbs White very very limited in his attacking threat, which I thought he'd be all over in a game like that against a very very poor West Ham side in the first few game weeks. Um, Ait looked all right at one point, and I looked back 5-10 minutes later, and he'd gone from clean sheet to 0 points. I think I'll keep him. I think he stays in, but yeah, City looked pretty ropey in that game, and I wasn't quite seeing the marauding front foot play that I'd normally want to see from Mike Nuri, given that they'd normally concede. So not the best. The less said about Aston Villa, the better. Again, looked awful, and there were so many shot results this game week. I'm never calling that scoreline against Crystal Palace, and you could say Consta's a fairly budget enabler, but I had no 3 goals conceded on my scorecard for him, so not the best. Gemmas, you'll love this. One of the sort of most glorious downfalls of my week was swapping out Palmer and bringing in Cunha and Semenyo. And I spent about an hour tossing up Cunha versus Bomo. Cunha, Bomo, Cunha, Bomo. They felt very kind of similar on paper. I fancied the edge of Cunha in that slightly more forward role, and he lasted about 30 odd minutes. So limped off, not the best. Semenyo looked poor again. Verts, I thought Liverpool played pretty well, and I thought Verts was getting in some decent pockets of space, but just he likes to look busy, get opportunities, but it's that end product that's worrying me slightly. Whether I give them another couple of games, with the fixtures they've got, I'll debate over the international break. But again, just disappointing from that midfield four across the board. Haaland stopped it being a total disaster, as in, sort of bottom million, by getting a captain call. Right? I almost captain Cunha. I don't think I'd be on this discussion if I had a captain Cunha. I think I'd be too livid. And again, Watkins just looked poor. And I know it's early in the season, but he didn't seem to have that clinical edge. He could have scored in the first half, but it just across the board, the players that I brought in to back the fixtures, none of them delivered pretty much. And it was poor showing from him. And then João Pedro, who he replaced Golden Boy Bowen and scored ironically less than him. So not a good week. Jude on the bench is painful, so I've given him a run out for the first couple of game weeks, strengthened my squad, and thought, well, I can leave him out now. I've got Cunha and Semenyo in the middle of the park, and he goes and gets 12 points, and it's like it's kind of where'd you go when your sort of logic feels about right, and you get that level of kind of score. So not the best week, and lots to ponder in the international break.
Is it wildcard time for you?
I don't dislike the team, but at the moment it's as in on paper, I think there's tons of points and some more fixtures coming up. But I think I need to run some drafts and see how much I can improve this on paper versus what a wild card might enable. But yeah, so some players are looking decent at the moment. I'll give it some deep thought over the next few days. I don't like using it early typically, but it might give me a chance to get some more vibe style prep players in. I made the right call with Delap at least. His hammy went, so getting him out wasn't a bad move. But yeah, not the best, and I think it is more likely a wild card than not at this stage.
Cool. I think that's nice to do at the start of the month, going into a new league. So our league will reset for the month of September, won't it? If you're gonna go for it.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. This format of kind of prize-based leagues works well for fresh starts. My overall is going to take a hit, however I dice it up. So there's loads of work to do to get back into a half decent overall score. But new month, new opportunity to top what is now a pretty sizable league that we're in. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Plenty to be frustrated by.
Yeah, fair. Well, best of luck with it. Should we have a look at the game week 4 teams, Jake?
Yeah, should we start with yours?
Please do. Okay, so I'm looking pretty good for game week 4. Apart from the double Forest defence, really, I've got a couple of flags there. I had wanted to keep Strand Larsen for the medium term. I'm tempted by Mateta against Sunderland, particularly if Sarr is going to be out for that fixture. It's thankfully a couple of weeks before we get an update. Double Liverpool attack against Burnley, not worth moving any of those guys out. Double City against United, can imagine being quite productive too. Double Chelsea against Brentford, again, not bad. Tarkowski against a misfiring Villa. And it's just that last defensive spot that's open for debate, I guess. Could argue playing Murillo there, where he maybe picks up a few more bonus points. A few more DEFCONs potentially against Arsenal if Arsenal have a bit more of the ball. They didn't look very good yesterday in an attacking sense. I think there's quite a few Gyökeres owners that will maybe be doing some soul searching over the next 2 weeks. My thoughts at the moment are around either that striker or midfielder transfer more than the defensive side of things. Any thoughts or questions, chaps?
Are you planning to keep Reinders longer term? Does that
Yeah,
the coming
absolutely.
the derby concern you,
No,
given
no,
United upswing against Burnley?
no. Don't. I don't pay much attention to that sort of stuff, like derbies and whatnot. They're professionals at the end of the day, and a lot of them don't have any skin in that particular game, right? They're brought
Yeah,
from overseas. Like Reinders, in this example, is new to the league. That
yeah,
derby shouldn't really mean much to him. Obviously, he'll want
no,
to do well for the team and the fans, etc. But yeah, I don't tend to factor things like that in. Am I going to move him? No, he's 5.5 million quid and playing for Man City. I said at pre-season, I try not to chase these cheapy midfielders around. It'd be quite hard work, and
mm.
you just end up burning like loads of transfers.
Are you, given how poor Forest looked and the fixtures, well, certainly the fixture for the next game week they've got? You mentioned Murillo possibly coming out. How likely are you to do that? And are you going to almost certainly keep two out of the three if you do move one on?
I don't tend to enjoy making the defensive transfers. They feel quite sideways. I know Murillo is really exciting and all the rest of it. Sorry, Munoz, for example, is really exciting. Um, but my plan at the start of the season was to try and pick up these DEFCONs.
Yeah. And Anderson's been
Pro-
bitterly close three times, has he? I think
Yeah, we touched on that
well,
before you joined, but
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
Anderson was one of the bright spots I thought for Forest yesterday. He's just so tidy, really
yeah.
impressive to watch. So yeah, the
No,
transfer.
you look well. You look well. So I certainly will be looking at wildcards with that with that outfit.
So yeah, any transfer will be for an attacking player more likely than not. But we've got a couple of weeks to look. I'm away at the moment, so I've not looked at any of the data from the last week just yet.
No.
So Jake, after your game week 3 success, do you want to grab your team?
yeah, let's take a look. Okay, this is the current setup for game week 3. So I was mind him in goal against Arsenal had obviously better options, but between him and Dubravka against Liverpool, probably go Sal's. Uh, Doof is not great at home v Tottenham, possibly attacking returns from him, and after West Ham's last game, sort of turns my eye a little bit to transferring him out. Dorgu, I imagine he'll play against City.
I mean, that's
Again,
just
looking at
that's just guesswork at this point, though, isn't it?
it is, but I don't know. Maybe he's been rested for the big derby. Amarin wants to keep him fresh.
Yeah, maybe.
It does do a lot of work up and down that left-hand side, so you never know. Given City's results so far, I wouldn't put it past United doing well. Maybe small bias from myself, but I wouldn't mind playing him. Eight Nori, I'm not really expecting any clean sheets from City either at the minute. So again, it's about the attacking returns. Salah away to Burnley, no issues there. I think the biggest concern I have is Gibbs White. As Rob mentioned, Forest looked pretty awful at the weekend, and going away to Arsenal is probably not going to help that. So one potential move is Gibbs White to Sarr at home to Sunderland. And Buemo, again, I don't mind keeping him. I thought he looked really good on the weekend. Very clinical, very tidy on the ball. And Kudos, again, he's probably okay. I think I'll have to start Dewsbury Hall given his recent form. And then, yeah, just a lot of question marks against Watkins. I think he had one shot on target last game, which is a small improvement. Villa, third game with no goals. So it's whether they come back after the break and Unai changes anything. We shall see. It's a
I mean,
potential for a wild card.
that's just hope, isn't it? More than strategy. Like hoping that Villa
There are
Yeah,
a bit of hopium, is there?
start to turn it around
yeah,
from where they currently are.
yeah. I'm not sure what's changed between last season and this season. I know they've lost sort of Rashford and Asensio and some of those loan players they had. A lot of the squad is still similar. You've got Watkins, Rogers, Tielemans. It just seems to not be clicking. So, but whether any work can be done there. They've got the fixtures. They're top of the fixture, well, or near the top of the fixture ticker for the next few weeks still. So
Hmm.
whether I hold my faith or wildcard them out.
Yeah, I thought the ground sounded quiet. To be honest, it sounded quite flat before they were 2 and 3 down on the weekend. So that fortress feel to it, like I had for some of their bigger games last season.
Yeah, I think they were quite good at home defensively last year. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
religiously good. It's a really poor start from them. Like you say, that you're lured to them because of the fixtures, but it's just not clicking. But then I thought that with West Ham, and it's like I think that's some of the variability of the first few fixtures. Oh, you could see a world where Forest nick it against Arsenal. So that's what's kind of made me quiz my own thoughts regarding wildcard. But
Yeah. There's not too much in my mind that is kind of like super clear after 3 weeks. Villa being
no,
dog shit
uh,
is is clear. I think we said on the podcast last week, Rob, that okay, if a particular player doesn't get any chances, that maybe the rest of the team kind of
mm,
picks up the slack. But Villa just don't have that at the moment.
no,
I
no, it
think
feels
I
feels
think
really weak.
I think 3 game weeks is quite a big sample across an entire team of
Yeah,
attacking numbers, and to be bottom of those tables that we showed last week still is not
yeah.
it's not particularly good. Cool.
but the,
Go on, Jake.
I was going to say they're looking at Sancho in the transfer window, so maybe that'll solve all their solutions.
Yeah, maybe.
Also,
Um,
you've only got two Man United players. That's unlike you. That I could see. Only one Liverpool asset though. Gemma's tempted to bring a Gakpo in or a
Only one, but it is Salah, so relatively happy with that. He does look quite out of it on that right side, but I think he's the main man still. Happy to keep him. I think I've got issues elsewhere, as opposed to getting more Liverpool in.
yeah, that's the least of your problems. Um, Isaac looks done, but I guess it's going to be a while before he starts. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, you can't go there.
Yeah.
it doesn't look great to me, Jake. To be honest, going into next week.
It looks better than I thought it did last week, so I'll take what I can get and ponder it over the next couple of weeks.
Any chance for a wild card for you, or are you holding on to that?
I think I'll do similar. I'll draft a few, see how it looks. I'd like more Palace. I think they look really, really good, and they've got Sunderland and a few more good fixtures over the next few weeks. I'd like to get more of those in
Have you got
and get
any
rid of
cash in the bank?
Forest. Yeah, I think I've got a few million after getting rid of Palmer, so plenty of room to maneuver, but
So you
only
could,
one free transfer.
so you could do Strand up to Mateta or something. I think that'll be quite popular.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout at all.
Cool. Okay. Should we have a quick discussion about wildcards, given that you
Yeah.
two are in the potential camp? We've got around 5 or 6 minutes left, so I have to make it snappy. Um, I would tend to go early over the international break to try and catch a few price rises. Otherwise, if you're looking at free transfers, just hold off. Money's not really an issue at the moment with so many of the premium inverted commas players injured or unavailable. The performances, as we mentioned, are still quite volatile. Spurs is quite a good example of that. Started really
Hmm.
well, City to some
Yeah.
extent, and they seem to have had a bit of a wobble, all in the space of just 3 game weeks. Um, I think at the moment there's a risk that you'd end up wildcarding in a load of 6.5, £7 million midfielders, and you end up with things like minutes risks and long streaks of non-returns. Um, I think you probably have some confidence in the fact that Bournemouth, a bit of a surprise package based on pre-season expectations. Um,
Yeah.
Palace doing really well, and Everton seem to have picked up a bit. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to have too many firm views at the moment on the teams that you might be picking from. There's lots of transfers going through on deadline day, which maybe raises a few more minutes risks. So all a bit uncertain on that front. It's a tricky spot.
Yeah, and I think that's what puts me. I take your point on going early, but I think that's what puts me off going too early and not give myself enough thinking time for the wild card because you want to be hearing kind of what managers of various teams are saying, what their kind of thoughts are on new transfers, where they slot in. So kind of the variability across new signings, the international break, whether you can make calls on form, that does concern me. But I need to I need to move drastically with most of my squad. So it might be that I have to do it and take a punt, and then potentially have to you know deal with a similar issue further down the line. But that's not the plan. So yeah, lots of thinking time. And again, yeah, Liverpool are absolutely, sort of safe as houses as a sort of framework for the team, but they're expensive. And yeah, I need to run some drafts, and I think that'll give me a good indication of whether I've got confidence to pull the trigger, or not. What about you? What about you, Gemmas? Are you favouring any teams for your potential wild card? Your 3 out of 10 chance for wild card.
Potential, yeah. Liverpool, obviously, Palace. I think Chelsea as well. I think Chelsea have started off quite well. I wouldn't mind the Chelsea defender. I think they surprised me a bit with a few clean sheets that they've kept. But
Mm.
yeah, I think like you said, I don't want a wild card too early, and then you get to game week 4, game week 5, and the players you've just brought in aren't starting, and they're getting 30 minutes at the end of the game, and then you're in a similar scenario that you're in now, where you look at the team and you can't be sure who's going to start, who's going to play where. So I think,
Yeah. Yeah, and you got returning players. Like this is what I mean. It's so hard to. It feels so hard to make really kind of well-informed decisions, because of the erratic nature of some of the results in the first few game weeks. The fact that we're closing off the transfer window. It feels like it needs a bit of breathing time, before decisions are made. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be pulling the trigger. So we can have some debates about what I do and what I shouldn't do and what I end up doing. As we get into the territory of punts.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's probably a good place to stop this week's pod. Maybe we'll release another with Bob's wildcard draft if he does pull the trigger. Any risks or questions he sees around it. Anything else from you guys before we sign off?
No, I just think kudos to those that hit the top 5 spots. It's yeah, some outrageous scores which should have covered earlier, but yeah, it's some really good monthly performances from the league. So yeah, looking forward to competing in next month's league with that lot.
Cool. Okay.
cool.
Well, thanks for tonight, chaps. For the listeners, any questions or comments, please drop us a line on TikTok or at our email addresses. So you like and follow the podcast. That really help us out. Good luck with your potential wildcard drafts, chaps, and see you again soon.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers all.